If you're going to create a show which is a show and not just a series of flashing lights, we had to find a way to link 7 sites over 80 miles of the North Yorkshire coast with a show which was certainly not something that had been seen anywhere else before. We were invited to do an event that highlighted the power and the beauty of the North Yorkshire coast. We did a pilot event at the end of 2022, which proved the concept of using lasers because they were the only thing that had the power and were powerful enough and beautiful enough to actually complement the whole Yorkshire coast. And we were then invited to extend that, and that was the beginning of the idea which became LNight, which was to link 7 sites over 80 miles of the North Yorkshire coast with a show which was powerful enough and different enough to achieve the bid's aims, which was to promote the North Yorkshire coast. We also had to develop something which was creatively coherent, and the biggest challenge obviously is that you've got to put together a team that can deliver those things, and we were lucky enough to have the people that could do that and deliver something which was unique. There are a lot of people doing it, but there are very few really good people. And the first challenge was actually finding 7 of those. The second thing is finding a laser designer who can take on a project of that scale and think in terms of a stage which is 80 miles wide. You've then got to assemble the equipment and make sure that that equipment can get to the right places at the right time and be installed in a less than ideal conditions. The Yorkshire coast in February and March can be a pretty challenging environment. It's not like putting something into a theatre which is warm and dry. The team were basically on occasions working in areas which were really cold and windy and wet. To put the show together, it required the creation of laser cues, in other words, the things that people saw, the movements, the colour changes. And that, for the length of show, which was 3 hours, resulted in a cue sheet with 11,000 cues in it, and took Lee, our laser designer, 18 days of nearly continuous work to actually generate that, which is a pretty impressive feat and something that we're not aware of having been done in this country. When you have modules, clusters of lasers spread over 80 miles, you've got to find a way of synchronizing them, which means that everything does exactly the same as all the other clusters at exactly the same time. Otherwise, again, it's just a bunch of flashing lights. That caused us to go hunting for a piece of technology which we knew existed, but initially we couldn't find it. And that, as sort of producer, was one of my challenges, was to find this technology. The GPS system that we all now rely on to find our way around actually has a second component, which is that it generates a very accurate time code. And the output of that, you can put that into the control system. And that means that every single site down the 80 miles does everything absolutely to the millisecond accurate. 30 watt RGB fibre lasers, they are the kind of thing that anybody that's been to a major rock concert are likely to have seen. The clever part about it is that they have a visibility of anything up to about 20-25 miles. Nothing else would have been powerful enough to give us that inclusivity, which was the thing we wanted. What brings it all to life and what is the heart of any show like this is the soundtrack. We had to find a way of delivering the soundtrack so that everybody who was actually going to come out and see the event could hear it. We were lucky enough fairly quickly to find a local company, a company called Broadcast Radio. They were very receptive of what was basically a completely left field idea, and we used their software to deliver that soundtrack, which meant that anybody, anywhere along the 80-mile coastline could actually listen to that soundtrack, and it made the whole thing an integrated show. That there was this potential for somebody to actually see the display they're looking at and then look around and, oh yeah, we can see the beams from another one, and actually draw this massive parallel that this was about bringing the whole of the Yorkshire coast together. I think the important thing is that you know, it is very much about what the team achieved, and without them it wouldn't have been possible. We without a doubt broke records, and that basically became the core and the heart of LNight, and really what LNight stood for. I was privileged basically to facilitate what they did, but without them there wouldn't have been an event, and that's the important thing. I hope basically we get the opportunity to work with them again and see what we can create next time.